So symbols then. We can have symbols with a timeline, inside a symbol with a timeline, inside a symbol with a timeline, and go on as long as we want. And then that final parent, grandparent, whatever, can be brought on stage and sit in the stage, which itself is self-referenced in the code as sim, short for symbol. So we're going to make some symbols, and they're going to be appearing in the symbols area of the library. So what I'm going to do for a start is just make an ellipse, and I'm going to animate that between here and, let's say, a couple of seconds. So what I'm going to do is set the object, change its color, animate it from, I don't know, a red to 1 second, change that to, let's say, a blue, and then back to a red, so that it animates from red to blue, back to red, back to blue, back to red. So we'll go back to red. I suppose we need the same red. What we can do is delete that keyframe, select this keyframe, copy, and then with the playhead where we want it, I can paste. So we get the same red. So if we run that, we get that. Okay. So we're going to make this repeat. If we run this in the browser, it doesn't repeat. It just stops at the end. Okay, so we're going to, at this point, do Control T for a trigger. And we're going to affect the playhead. We're going to play from the stage, double click the stage, and we're going to play at 0. So that's that. So this is a self-contained item now. When we run it, it continues just going on and on and on and on. Now, I can take this object here, and convert it to a symbol. Now, you'll notice that we're going for 2 seconds, so we're going to see something in a minute. We'll just call this flash. It's not exactly flashing, but you get the idea. Maybe I should have called it color change. So we'll take it off stage and just bring it back. It was there as a symbol, but I just want to show you something. Now, this is inside the main timeline. So the code here plays this playhead, and when it gets to here, it goes back to the beginning. What I need to do is take this code off. The alternative is to right click and delete, and go into this symbol. I can double click here. Alternatively, I can double click here, and I go into the editing mode of the symbol. And what I want to do, now that our symbol has its own timeline embedded within it, it's here that I want to put the trigger. So Control T, playback, play from. Flash now, it's not the stage, we're actually inside the object. And 0. Sim is the symbol parent. What is the container that I'm in? It's the flash symbol. So that's okay. So now when we go back to stage, we can see that our timeline within the symbol is taking up 2 seconds, and we have this chevron thing going on. So that's got its own timeline going there. If we were to drag a few more onto here, we would get them all doing their own thing. All copies of the same thing. Okay, so that's good enough. What I'm going to do now is, this is a symbol. I'm going to animate it across, let's say, 3 seconds and rotate it 360 degrees. So this object selected just happens to be a symbol. I'm going to click the rotate. So it's like that at the beginning. On 3 seconds, it's 360. Now to just tap it in. 360 even. Okay, so that rotates. So it's going to change colour while ever it's on stage. It takes 3 seconds to rotate, so it's already halfway to blue. Okay, so the 3 seconds has stopped, the rotation stopped, but this thing, the flash symbol, is still carrying on. So what I can do is turn this to a symbol now. It's taking this symbol and grouping its timeline. Rotating thing. Delete it off stage and bring rotating thing back, and we should have it rotating and changing colour, and stopping rotating but still changing colour. So we're going to go inside the timeline, and at this point in time here at the end we're going to do Control T and control the playback, playing from, or when we're right at the end we want to go back to the beginning. So when we do it now, it will continue rotating and it will continue to change colour. Okay, so that's the colour change timeline inside the rotation change timeline. And then we're in the edit mode of rotate thing. So let's go back to the stage. And now we've got our rotating thing. Let's just move it from left. Okay, I moved it while I was over here. So whilst the playhead's there, I want it to be over here. When the playhead is here, I want it to be, press shift, I get a horizontal line. So it's doing that. So let's have a look at what we're doing. So we've got the main stage timeline, the rotating timeline, and then the colour change. So once again, I can take this object, convert to symbol, convert to symbol. We'll call it slide along. And again, if I remove that from stage, I can bring it onto stage anywhere I want. If I bring it on there, I can bring the version on there as well. I can resize. If I press shift, I restrain those proportions. Okay, so if we control and enter. So what I want to do is go into slide along, go to the end, and you guessed, Control D, play back, play from, slide along, 0. And that should happen many times. And if we just bring another version just for look. So that's going to go beyond where we can reasonably be expected to watch. Okay, so that's it. Play timelines within timelines.